God, my hair is just a mess here. Hey everyone. So let's just turn down the TV and let's do that. So, as I'm sure you're aware, unless if you're new, my name is Katarina, and this is my channel, Katarina's Garage. And to be honest, I am dealing with some I dealt with some interesting stuff with carb, but finally got that all figured out, and it also led me to something of a bit of a potential discovery that I didn't think of until today. So, if you don't know of my sort of car, I have my main project is a 1981 Ford Mustang with the 200 Land 6. And I've done a two-barrel carb conversion. I used to have a Motorcraft carb on it. Now I have the Holley carb on it, which has been giving me problems. But as we know, Holleys can be temperamental. Motorcrafts are just set it and done, and you're all good. Holleys, you do have to. They're finicky, and you have to really dial them in. And once you dial them in, they're really good. And I think I have mine mostly dialed in, but yeah, I'm here. What's with that comment, Shane? Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I haven't posted a vid for a little bit, and I haven't done a live for a little bit, but, it's one of these things. I try to do them as much as I can. It's just, there's not always things to talk about, but now there is. Of the past few days, which I'll do this in a full video, I'm sure, later on, too, but, that Holley carb is a finicky bitch. So, I, got it swapped on the weekend, and well, don't you know that with Pokemon you're supposed to weaken it to make it easier to catch? So, just saying. But that Holy carb, because initially I thought I could jet it similarly to my Motorcraft carb, which was only jetted to 49, especially with my elevation and everything. It's a lot different than how most people would jet their motorcrafts, because a lot of people jet their motorcrafts higher than that, about 54, but consider that they are closer to sea level, to me. And by the way, that's terrible. But where I am, I'm almost 3,600 feet above sea level. It's very high up, and which creates some interesting things when you're tuning a carburetor. And this Holley carb has been a pain in the ass. Plus, my battery has been giving me some issues too. But I'm gonna let that thing charge, like just keep it on the charger for a couple of days, and just to try and get that back into that optimal battery. Because, AGM batteries, they can be finicky when you let them die and then you haven't let them, like, just be on a charger and fully charge out for, like, a day or two. So, that's what's going on right now. But that whole... Anyways, like, so got the Holy carb changed out, and I jetted it to 49. And the problem is, 49 jets were not good enough. It was far too lean. Like, way too lean. So lean, in fact, that the car was borderline undrivable, and I was actually getting lean pops, which is hilarious. Because I thought they were backfires, but then I realized, wait, no, that's actually lean popping, which is worse than backfires. Because backfire is, there's just way too much fuel, and then that's, burning that out. So... Okay, Shane, if you let me sort of explain it all out, I'll tell you what I did. You always jump every single time, but you never let me explain it out. So the funny thing is, the highest jets that I had on me, because I got gifted some 49s, some 50s, and some 52s. So when I realized this thing is running extremely lean, I went from my buddy Roy's place in near downtown Edmonton to my buddy Keith's place, which is where I usually stay whenever I go up to Edmonton. And it's about a half-hour drive, give or take, because of, lights and traffic and that sort of thing. And so I get to his house and to his shop, and I just do a quick jet change. I swapped to the 52 jets, and it was still running a little lean, but at least it was better. And so I drive it back here, which, like, I'm super tired doing this because I just worked the dyno day. I'm only riding off of, like, 3 hours of sleep. I had been awake for almost 20 hours, and it was just awful. Um, so I do that, but then I just like, yeah, no, this thing's still running a little too lean because I should be able to be in my overdrive gear at 80 kilometers an hour, and I couldn't do it. So it's like, okay, because it would just lean pop if I did that. So okay, and plus trying to leave at a stoplight because I've always had to use a little bit more throttle just because of the rear tires, but I had to basically go at about 3,000 RPM or so for it to actually go. So it's like, that's not really gonna work for me. So yesterday I went to Calgary. I visited with my buddy Dieter, and me and him went to Mopac together, and I picked up some 56 jets as well as I may have picked up 57s as well. I can't remember. But regardless, I have these extra bigger jets, and so I threw the 56s in it, and that made all the difference in the world, to be honest. It was great. And it's still good now. So, I didn't have to jet it higher than that, and I didn't want to jet it too high just because of, well, I don't want it to run too rich, right? It's kind of that sort of gamble that you do, right? You're trying to figure it out and all that stuff. Oh, you mean the thing that I don't have money for because I can't get an engine down to you? Like, you keep saying that, but again, if I can't get a motor down to you, I can't afford to do that, then how the fuck am I supposed to do this fuel injection thing? Because I can't afford it otherwise. Like, there was somebody else that said, like, hey, you should put a Holley Sniper on that. I'm like, well, if you pay for it, I would, but, Which is funny, because they actually said, that, like, if they were actually a bigger influencer and they had more money, that, yeah, they'd actually gift me a Holley Sniper kit, which, that'd be cool. But right now, it's just, yeah, that's out the window at the moment. So that's fine. I'll just stick with my carburetors for now. And the Holley carb is going good. It runs better than it ever has with that Holley carb, to be honest. Because it's nicely dialed in. There's just a couple of things that I got to figure out with it. So, for start... Yeah, okay, but again, Shane, like, you're being a bit of an asshole, to be honest. Can you please stop? Like, you're a friend of mine and everything, but you're being just this egotistical ass right now, and I need you to stop that. Just... seriously. Thank you. Anyways... So, yeah, like, the Holley is going good right now, but like I mentioned, there is a couple of things that I have to address with it. Because right now I don't have an air cleaner on the car, just because I don't have one that currently fits. That Holley carb is a little weird. So, I need to, a spacer that's like 4 or 4.5 inches. I need to actually measure it out to see for sure. I just can't find my tape measure anywhere. And... so that's a minor issue, and I was gifted this metal spacer that's an inch thick, but it doesn't fit. But I might be able to cut it, spread it apart, see if the machine shop in town can just make a quick little bend and weld in just a piece of metal for that area that I have cut and stretched out in place. So that's probably what I'm going to look into, because I can't seem to find, like, an air cleaner spacer that's proper, because everybody just carries the standard size. Like, my Motorcraft, as an example, has the standard size, which is like 3.5, I think it is. 3 or 3.5 for that. So, yeah, it's just one of these things. Um, sorry, just brain's not really working here. Um, and mm, and the reason why I actually need an air cleaner spacer, well, for two reasons. The main reason is where the um where the fuel line actually comes out of the carburetor. It's mounted up high, while on the motorcraft it was mounted down low, so I didn't have a problem with it interfering with the air cleaner. But now I do, so I've been driving around with an air cleaner. I'm not going to do that too much, to be honest, because for obvious reasons. Like, you can run it without an air cleaner, but I don't advise you to, because you can get... The reason for an air cleaner is so that it takes the dirt and everything gets caught in the filter rather than being sucked into your engine. Um, so, yeah, it's, you know, one of those things. And it's something that I'll get fixed within the next little bit, and it'll be good. Also, it's interesting because that Holley carb doesn't have your typical carb stud. It actually uses a 5/8 coarse thread, when usually they are, what is the size? Like 3/8 or something like that. Or something like that. I can't remember the exact thread that they typically use. But regardless, I need to find, like, well, I'm probably just going to use a bolt instead of a carb stud, which I did actually before on that car. I did it with when I had the 2 barrel on there, or the 1 barrel carb on there that was stock, it had a bolt, before, and, like, I didn't mind that, and the Blue Jays just lost. Go figure. But, so that's fine, and I found a bolt that I think will work. And we'll figure that out. Um, like, and there's some things like I wanted to get it up to Devon tomorrow because the dyno is going to be set up for running a BMW motorcycle, and then once that was all done, I could run my car for as much as I wanted on it. But it's just I don't have the money to get up there, so it's fine. I gotta really save my money until my dad's back for sure, because it's affording doing some of this stuff is difficult, right? So yeah, no, it's just one of these things, right? And I'm um just figuring stuff out. And then, like, and actually, if you haven't seen it already, I did post about a giveaway that's happening on a friend of mine's TikTok channel. He hasn't really put out the particulars of the specific giveaway, but he's early stages of his TikTok channel and everything, and he just wants to grow and wants to help people out if he can. He's giving away 373 gears for an 8.8 rear end, which I posted, like, that would go really good in my car, because I think that would actually alleviate the problems that I have with my, because I have an issue with gearing in my car currently with the 28 tall tires out back and the 355 gears with not as much power. But going to 373s, I should eliminate the bogging issue that I have upon launching the car, and it shouldn't be a problem. But we shall see. We shall see. That's one of these things, and like, and if I, won that, I would do that. Although, my buddy Braden, which whenever I can get up to Edmonton next with the Capri, I'll probably get that off of him because he's gifting me an 8.8 rear end with 373s anyway, so I'll have a free set of 373s that I'm gonna throw into Stitch. And it won't affect it much on the highway. It's only gonna, increase it by like 150 RPM, I think it is. So it's really not too bad. And it should, well, it will make it a lot better with the acceleration, so it's kind of a win-win. I'll get slightly less fuel economy, that's fine. It gets like, 31, 32 miles to the gallon, so it doesn't really bother me all that much that if I decrease that by, let's say, 1 mile per gallon or so, you know, it's not too bad. And like, and the Capri, because I have some parts in for it to fix some of the issues with it. Like, I have a fuel pump, which I'll be installing this week at some point. I just gotta borrow a half-inch line wrench from my neighbor. Um, and then once I do that, I should have better fuel economy in the car. I'll actually drive the car more because I haven't really touched it since I got back from the last dyno day. To be honest, I've hardly taken it out. Period. Um, I just one of these things. I don't want to have the gas dilute the oil any further. And because it's the only thing, at least that's what I think is going on, because it's the only thing that actually explains as to why it it gets such atrocious fuel economy, yet it runs so good. Well, there's a couple of factors to this actually. So basically, inside the fuel pump, there is a rubber diaphragm. And over time, that rubber diaphragm could just essentially disintegrate and, let gas actually flow into the engine. Which, and at that point, it just goes straight into the oil pan. But because oil, and quite a bit of it, is leaking out of the back of the valve cover, it's not actually that big of an issue, or at least you don't notice it as much because of that. Because normally you'd see, like, low oil pressure and stuff like that, and then motor knocking and all this different stuff. I dealt with this with my convertible when it had the original engine and the gas was getting into the oil pan. And it's totally fine. Or totally fine. That wasn't fine at all, actually. That's what made me sell that car initially, and then I bought it back, and then did the motor swap on it, because the other guy didn't know what the hell he was doing with said motor swap, and swapped in a shotted motor, and then I traded it for the Capri. Full circle. And it's just kind of funny that way that, because I initially traded a Capri for that car, and then now I have traded that car for a Capri. It's kind of funny. And I can't wait for some things. There's going to be, and I'll probably get those installed before winter, because, winter it's coming within the next month or so. We'll probably, it's possible that we don't get snow till October, but it varies. Like, a lot of the time, you'll find that, here, snow can fall in September. But also, on rare occasions, we can actually not have any snow till November. We've had a few years like that, and it's really awesome. And this year, who knows, it might be like that, and if it is, cool. I can drive Stitch even longer, which is nice. And it gives me more time to find a limited slip diff for my car. And that's something that I might actually end up doing, because that 8.8 rear end, like, I'll take the 373s out of it, I'll pop my 355s in, and obviously I'll retain my limited slip, but, yeah, and then see if I can find a limited slip rear end for the Capri. Because I'd want that before winter actually comes, because otherwise that car is going to be annoying to drive in winter. Like, Stitch, whenever I drove her in the wintertime without that limited slip, it got stuck in front of my house quite a few times, to be honest. And it's just because that it doesn't have the traction, right? Even though I had 195 wide tires on it, it just would not get enough traction. Now, the Capri is heavier on the back end, though. The hatch definitely weighs more than, it definitely weighs more than a trunk lid, for sure. Like, the Capri is in the neighborhood of about 2,800 pounds, while Stitch is like 2,680 when I had her on the scales. And now that's one thing of I'd be curious to weigh her again, and that's something actually I should get with my buddy Paul in Olds and see, maybe if I can put the car on the scales again. Because I'm curious. Because it has, you know, in some aspects lost quite a bit of weight, but then in other aspects it's gained some weight too. So I'm curious where it lands. You know, but we shall see. And something else though too is that I had talked about it before to where I may have been swapping my transmission for my buddy's four-cylinder transmission, but I'm not actually going to do that because I had my information wrong. And while first gear is nicer for my setup, the overdrive is a lot worse, so I don't really want to do that. I'd go from a 0.72 overdrive to like a 0.89 overdrive with the four-cylinder tranny. So yeah, much rather keep my V8 transmission. But alternatively, though, like I do want to swap out the transmission at some point for a world-class V8 or six-cylinder transmission, because those actually will have the gear ratios I want. Those will have the 335 first and the 0.68 overdrive. So, and that's the thing. If I, swapped, like, I'm gonna eventually swap to 373s, and then, so 373s, and then go to the 0.68 overdrive, I'll be at about the same RPM I am now, with having more acceleration. It's win-win, right? So, yeah, it's just one of these things. Sorry, John Wick's on TV, or John Wick 2 to be precise. They're doing a marathon on AMC, which is funny because it's on AMC, so it's gonna be cut. Like, but whatever. Still such really good movies. And so I know that there is another Dino Day happening on the 16th of September. That might be our last one, or we might have more after that. We just don't know yet. Getting more inquiries and finding out. But that's in Edmonton, and that should be fun. I might be taking Stitch on a track on September 10th. There's the Cremona Car Show on September 9th, which they're actually giving away a 1994 Firebird LT1 6-speed. Like, that's just so awesome. And, I would love that thing. 100%. It'd be so cool. Now, would I be able to keep it? No. I'd just make a little bit of content out of it and then get rid of it. But hey, it'd be cool, right? And, and I've always liked that generation of Firebird. I know they're a pain in the ass to work on, but they're such a cool looking car. Yeah, we'll see. Because I always found every generation of Firebird looks better than every generation of Camaro. It's one of these things, and not right now. I'm live. Thank you. But yeah, I'm trying to think. What else is there? So, actually, something. So, the Dyno Day, because one thing is, I had never seen proper carnage on the dyno, right? And me and John were kind of talking about that towards the beginning of the day. And, just like, I haven't really seen that in a while. And then, about, I don't know, 6 runs in or so, we have this King Ranch Ford, which I wish I was filming it, but you've seen one sort of stock-ish diesel Ford, you've seen them all. So, because otherwise, I would have gotten the U-joint failing and twisting the drive shaft. And then also the damage that it did to the dyno, actually. There's a hole in the dyno now. It's about yay big, and it's about yay deep. So, it did a number on the dyno that way. And we were finding needle bearings all day long. You know, it screwed up the splines on the drive shaft too in the transmission. So that was the thing, and the whole thing like twisted into a sort of V-shaped. And oh yeah, like massive carnage. But luckily everybody was safe, nobody got injured, and the guy, well, like I mean, obviously he wasn't like the happiest about it, but at the very least, he was in good spirits at the very least, and he kind of chuckled about it. But yeah, so that was good at least. And it was a good day overall. It wasn't like super super hot. Like it was warm, but not super super hot. Um, and my car was actually on the dyno, but I made pitiful dyno numbers. So my dyno numbers wound up only being 58 horsepower and like 79 foot-pounds of torque. And the reason being is that I put some fuel in it from GTI, and turns out it was a bad tank of gas. Which it happens. Like the car was running atrocious. And too bad I didn't film that, because that would have been funny. And like how much oil was being pushed out of the back of the valve cover too. And like that was very odd. I don't know why I was doing that. But I put a little bit of Lucas in it because I still have Lucas lying around that I've had for a few years now. I'm also going to put some of that Lucas into the Capri as well upon the next oil change. So, or I might just add some Lucas now, and like, because I want to change the oil when I get up to Edmonton. I just don't want to do it here. That's all. But we'll see what all happens in the next bit, and yeah, honestly, I'm excited for the future of my car, and even of the Capri too. Because not that I'm going to be doing like a ton to the Capri, but it'll just be nice to give you guys updates on what I potentially do. Because there's other stuff like I could adapt that to a 2-barrel as well, and it'll basically cost me like nothing other than maybe a throttle cable. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. And swap out the rear end of that thing, because who knows, we might be putting an 8.8 in that car if I can find a limited slip with like 273 gears, because I'll have an 8.8 out of a T-Bird. So we'll see. But anyways, I'm getting no viewers and no interactions at this point, so I'm just going to end the live here. Thank you so much for watching, and I apologize for earlier in the video, but it happened. So anyways, peace.